Reinvent the value of 10 centavos.
You're in the newsroom on CNN Philippines tonight. Smoking will soon be banned in public places. We'll tell you more about a new order just signed by President Duterte. The Philippines turns down aid from the European Union that comes with strings attached. And find out who's joining Paolo Avellino in the much-anticipated sequel of the award-winning historical biopic General Luna. Good evening, I'm Mitzi Borromeo. The war against distracted drivers is on. The eyes of traffic regulators seem to be everywhere as they use high-tech gadgets to detect and discipline drivers who use gadgets while on the wheel. Our Ivy Saunar has that story.
Eyes on the road, hands on the wheel. That's now the law with the implementation of the Anti-Distracted Driving Act on its first day today. This law prohibits drivers from using gadgets when vehicles are in motion or temporarily stopped at a traffic light. Despite hefty fines beginning at 5,000 pesos for the first offense, many violators were still caught on its first day of implementation. On this huge screen at the MMDA Metro base, violators were seen using phones while on the road, like this motorcycle driver who was caught talking with someone over the phone, and another driver texting. This driver also did not escape the high-definition CCTV cameras of MMDA, which can also zoom in to the vehicle's license plate. The use of CCTV cameras is in line with the MMDA's no-contact apprehension policy. So far, over 70 violators were caught on Thursday, majority of which are motorcycle drivers. Notices will be sent to violators and will be given 7 days to settle their fines. All public and private vehicles are covered, including bicycles, pedicabs, habal-habal, and carts pulled by humans and even animals.
Dapat pag naka-stop, pwedeng Ang bawal lang pag tumatakbo.
Minsan nga makikita mo yung ibang mga drivers, kahit go na, hindi umabante. Yung pala busy sa phone. Maraming dangers, so it's okay.
May cellphone ako nandito at pag nasa bahay yung may nag-emergency, saka ako na lang open. Pero pag hindi ko ginagamit.
Authorities, however, said gadgets can be used in cases of emergency, like instances that require immediate medical attention. Ivy Saunar, CNN Philippines.
As of 7 tonight, 127 violators have been apprehended. Automobile Association Philippines President Gus Lagman agrees on the anti-distracted driving law but believes traffic enforcers will have a harder time implementing the law here in Metro Manila.
The biggest challenge, I think, is how to enforce the law.
Yes.
It's not easy to see whether they're texting or making a phone call, especially with tinted cars.
Yes, right. Yes.
And in fact, there was a question some months ago about also banning tinted cars. But I said there are pros and cons about that.
Yes.
I mean, if you're, especially for women who are driving, and if they're, the bad guys see that you're alone in the car, it's nighttime. So that can also pose some dangers to the driver, to the woman driver.
Eyes on the road, hands on the wheel. It's day one of the Anti-Distracted Driving Act. And tomorrow, another traffic law takes effect that will ban small children on motorcycles. Here's everything you need to know about the Children's Safety on Motorcycle Act. From two traffic laws to a new executive order from the president. President Duterte has just signed an order that bans smoking nationwide. The Office of the Executive Secretary confirms EO number 26 was signed on Tuesday. You're seeing the copy of the EO released today. The order states smoking is not allowed in public and enclosed places, as well as in enclosed public utility vehicles like jeepneys, taxis, and buses, whether stationary or in motion. The EO also provides guidelines for setting up designated smoking areas or DSAs. It also prohibits the sale of cigarettes and other tobacco products to those who are 18 years old and below. Minors are not allowed to be inside DSAs. In addition, selling cigarettes within 100 meters from schools, public playgrounds, and recreational facilities for minors is strictly prohibited. The order will take effect 60 days after publication in newspapers of nationwide circulation. Now, for more on that, we speak with Health Secretary Pauline Ubial. Good evening, Secretary. Thank you for taking our call tonight.
Good evening, Mitzi Borromeo and CNN. Good evening.
Secretary, this is certainly welcome news, especially for our health. But what challenges do you foresee in enforcing this executive order?
I'm sure that there will be a lot of challenges, but it is a great step in terms of the political will of our president to really protect the health and well-being of our people, as opposed to the challenges of the tobacco industry.
Yes. Secretary, do you have any more information? I mean, I'm looking at a copy here of the executive order. Any information about the penalties? What kinds of penalties are we looking at?
Usually an executive order does not contain penalties. It's in the IRR, or
yes,
the local ordinances will have to cover for that.
So which is still in the process of being finalized?
Yes.
Is that right? Yes. And would you know if this includes, because I understand there's also the challenge of assigning the DSAs or designated smoking areas. Would this include e-cigarettes? Because a lot of people are shifting, they say, in an effort to quit, they're trying to shift to e-cigarettes. Would this also apply to e-cigarettes?
The EO is silent about vaping and e-cigarettes. So technically it's not covered by the EO, but we hope that there will be information and actually advisory from the FDA to come out very soon on vaping and e-cigarettes.
Secretary, it did say also the executive order says that it will take effect 60 days after it's published in nationwide publications. So can we expect that when do you expect that this will be finally rolled out and will take effect? This is about sometime end June, would you say?
Yes, that's right.
And Secretary, finally, what is well, of course, this is a big step for the Department of Health. What do you see happening? What do you hope, what is your message to people out there?
Well, we recorded in 2015 the highest ever reduction in smoking prevalence in any country in the world, with over 1 million Filipinos actually registering to stop smoking from 2010, the last survey, to 2015. So we hope that this particular executive order, which follows after the Davao City Ordinance on no smoking in public places and conveyances, will actually further reduce the prevalence of tobacco smoke in this country, so that by 2020, when we do the next survey, we expect almost the same or even higher reduction in prevalence among our people.
All right. Thank you very much for your insights tonight, Department of Health Secretary Pauline Ubial. Here are some top stories from around the world. In the United States, the Justice Department has announced a special counsel to oversee the investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election. Former FBI Director Robert Mueller will take over the probe. Mueller led the FBI from 2001 to 2013. The appointment comes amid criticism aimed at the White House since the firing of former FBI Director James Comey. Brazil's presidential palace is denying that President Michel Temer, seen here, authorized bribes to a jailed politician. A Brazilian newspaper reports that Mr. Temer offered money to the former House Speaker in exchange for his silence. Authorities are conducting a widespread corruption investigation. And the flag carrier airline of the Netherlands, KLM Royal Dutch Airlines, posted this picture on Twitter showing King Willem-Alexander in the cockpit. The reigning monarch revealed in an interview with a Dutch newspaper that he had regularly flown passenger flights for over 2 decades. Calling the part-time role a hobby, the king said that he had been a co-pilot of KLM Cityhopper, the airline's short-haul carrier flights, for over 21 years. The king told the newspaper that he used the twice-monthly flights with KLM to decompress from his royal duties. Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Ernesto Pernia says the government's decision to reject aid from the EU is now irreversible. Find out why later. This is CNN Philippines Newsroom.
Sana siguro maglagay na ng designated area na kung saan pwedeng mag-UCU.
For me, it's okay. I mean, it will help me then to quit smoking.
Consideration na lang for smoking areas. Kasi it's really hard to quit eh.
It's great kasi yung mga, especially din sa mga non-smokers katulad ko, so may tendency na yung second non-smoke nila, naapektuhan ako kahit di ako nag-smoke.
Mas maganda rin yung health ng mga smokers, then makakapag-save din sila ng money.
Good evening to all of you watching us on Newsroom on Facebook Live. We are getting a lot of reactions there on the new executive order banning smoking in public places. In fact, we had a lot of likes for that story, and here we have a comment from Paolo Joaquin Carrion who says this is important. The health of every individual and minor and environment should be important because smoking kills. Now, also coming up for you in the next segment of the Newsroom, we'll be talking about the EU assistance apparently and how economists are reacting to this news. Clary Howe will have a report for us on that. Now, we want to greet those of you who have been sending messages to us on Facebook Live. Carlito Camacho says he's watching from Afghanistan. Hello to you. Also, Herbert Calipayan is watching from Jeddah. And we have Real Romero watching from Davao. And again, some reactions to our story on the ban, on the new smoking ban. Orlando Salenga says, good idea. And Igor Tak says, generally good. It's no to drugs being rallied across all grade schools. So a lot of comments there on. In fact, we even have Zorina Liedheiser saying that in California they're very strict about that. And Jamie Dulawan says, good job to Health Secretary Bial for not smoking for this, I guess referring to the order not smoking in public places. Thank you for your messages, and please do let us know what you think of the stories and where you're watching from. We'll try to read some of them in the next break on Facebook Live. Stay tuned. You're back in the Newsroom on CNN Philippines. Is the Philippines refusing all assistance from the European Union? Officials are clarifying reports that the country is saying no to billions of pesos in aid from the EU, including those that support programs for the poor and in conflict-stricken areas of Mindanao. Our AC Nichols has that story.
President Duterte approves a policy of refusing aid from the European Union. But Malacanang clarifies this is not a blanket rejection. Presidential spokesman Ernesto Abella says the government is now declining grants that tend to influence local policies. He adds the country will continue accepting humanitarian aid as these do not have conditions.
These grants pertain to particular projects or programs that have the potential of affecting the autonomy of the country.
The Finance Department recommended the policy that applies to new aid. Abella says EU-funded projects will continue. So why was this policy issued in the first place? It was apparently in response to a certain aid proposal with what he called as objectionable conditions that may affect internal policies. In a text message, Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez said the country is not accepting a grant offer by the EU, which involves a review of the country's adherence to the rule of law. But Malacanang stopped short of confirming whether or not the conditions weigh on issues surrounding President Duterte's drug war. The EU has been critical of the administration's war on drugs and supposed human rights issues violations. President Duterte on several occasions expressed disgust over the EU's supposed attempts to interfere with internal affairs.
EU. Gusto pa ako ipakulong ng mga animal? Siraulo talaga ito mga puti.
NEDA Chief Ernesto Pernia, meantime, says the economic managers were not consulted on the issue. Asked about the new policy, he would have objected to it, to which Abella replied,
The recommendation came from the DOF, so it's not entirely accurate that they were not consulted.
Malacanang says the country's warm diplomatic relations with EU countries can withstand the new policy. How will the Philippines compensate for the money lost from these grants? Malacanang is not worried and is confident money will come in from other sources. The government is also appealing to Filipinos to have more faith in our capabilities as a nation and that we can manage without having to beg for foreign support. AC Nichols, CNN Philippines.
But not all quarters are fully behind the decision or were even aware of it. Our Claire Hiao talked to economic managers as news broke that the government had refused conditional aid from the European Union.
Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Ernesto Pernia initially tries to make light of the rumors. He says it's unlikely the government will reject all aid from the European Union. Little did he know, Malacanang had gone ahead with the move. And he hears the news from the reporters themselves.
Kinonfirm ng EU has confirmed it also. Well, okay, then that's it. No, it was not discussed in the cabinet meeting.
Pernia says economic managers were not consulted about the aid block that could see the country losing about 13 billion pesos in grants. He's firm this shouldn't be policy since the country should welcome all assistance it can get.
Well, it should not be policy. Yeah, this is not a policy decision. This is not going to be customary. It's an act.
Pernia will now regroup with Budget Secretary Benjamin Diokno and Finance Secretary Sonny Dominguez to come up with a common position. He's hopeful the president is willing to listen and even change his mind if they can show the consequences of this policy. It's not yet clear just what projects will be axed, as Malacanang says it will only reject conditional aid. But according to one non-governmental organization that receives EU aid, individual grants do not have conditions. The EU pegs its total assistance to a country depending on its respect for democracy and human rights. InsightGov has a 28 million peso grant from the EU. This helps it reach out to women, children, senior citizens, and indigenous peoples. It works in some of the poorest provinces in the Bicol region and eastern Visayas. InsightGov helps these groups identify their needs and links them with local governments so they can come up with solutions together. It worries that without EU assistance, it could hurt not just them, but the small groups they work with.
The opportunity for them to engage with government, because EU provides that space with their support for development programs for NGOs and civil society.
Claire Yao, CNN Philippines.
Socioeconomic Planning Secretary Ernesto Pernia tells our chief correspondent Pia Ontiveros on Newsnight the government's decision is irreversible. But he reveals the president has found a way to strengthen relations with the European Union.
Decision has been made, and I think the letter has been transmitted from Secretary from DOF. No, DOF, right. And so I don't think it can be,
you can't take it back.
Retrieved, we can take it back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Pero moving forward,
moving forward,
yes.
What the president has done is to appoint Secretary Angara, Senator Angara, the older Angara, yes, to be ambassador to EU, special ambassador to EU.
Yes.
And that is, I guess, to mend the fences or to discuss things with EU.
No direct mention from President Duterte on the rejection of EU aid. But he did say he will not be cowed by allegations that he's violating human rights. Here's the president in his own words.
If you know better, huwag ka talagang magkumpiyansa dyan sa human rights na yan, kaya pati yan, sabayin ko kayo putulan ng ulo. Hindi ako madala ng ganong takot. Ikulong mo ako, ikulong mo ako. Kung sabihin nila dapat akong makulong, okay, it's fine. I'll pay the price. But do not the Filipino family.
The president was speaking at the inauguration of a bridge in Tagum City, Davao del Norte. The United Nations says in the Philippines, up to 7,000 cybercrimes are reported every month, half of this victimizing children. Our senior correspondent Ruth Cabals looks at how victims of cyber sex crimes deal with the trauma and what the government is doing to prevent children from falling prey to criminals. Here's part 2 of her investigative report.
This rehabilitation center for abused children sits on a quiet mountainside area in Zambales. When our team arrived, some of the girls were enjoying a Zumba session. Then it was time for therapy. We were brought inside a room plastered with mattresses on the walls. At first, most of them were silently sobbing. A few minutes later, wailing, shrieking, cursing. A few of the girls pounding on the floor, enraged. The center's psychologist says the mattresses were placed to prevent the girls from hurting themselves and others.
Yung tawag po dun sa therapy na yun is primal therapy, kung saan nilalabos po nila lahat ng mga emotional distress nila, lahat ng galit, lahat ng lungkot.
Fernandez adds the girls' behavior during therapy manifests how traumatized they are from the abuse. Our team was not allowed to directly talk to the victims, but we met Nina, not her real name, who was once a patient here. In 2013, when she was just 14 years old, Nina was also rescued by PREDA from a cyber sex den in Angeles, Pampanga. Nina said she was paid by her boss 60 to 80 pesos per client.
May camera po. Inuutusan po kaming maghubad, yung pakita yung mga private parts po namin, ganun. Yun po yung inisip ko, yung pera, kikita ako ng malaki, makakapag-aral ako ulit.
With more than 26% of Filipinos under the poverty line and predators willing to pay up to $100 for an online sex show, it's no wonder that children and their parents are lured into cybersex crimes.
Para sa kanila kapit sa patalim. Anong gugustuhin mo? Makita mo silang kumakain o mamatay sa gutom.
Since 2010, PREDA has filed 6 cybercrime cases. All these were junked due to insufficient evidence, defective warrants, and other technicalities, according to Richter. Lawyers from the International Justice Mission say weak implementation of cybercrime laws emboldened perpetrators to operate in the country. They cite the arrest last April of American David Timothy Deacon. Deacon was reportedly live streaming sex shows with children, what the Justice Mission calls on-demand child sexual abuse. Especially challenging for investigators because it leaves no trace on the device where it was recorded and viewed.
It thrives in an environment where laws are not enforced. And so if the criminals, like the parents or facilitators or providers or even the customers from across the globe think that this is a crime that they can get away with, they would continue because it generates income for them.
UNICEF says the Philippines has become the top source of child pornography and online sexual abuse. In 2016, data from the Department of Justice show that of 37,000 reported cybercrimes, more than 80% involve online sexual exploitation of children. The Government Cybercrime Investigation and Coordinating Center supervises efforts by different agencies and private groups against cybercrimes. Just last week, government operatives were trained by the US FBI.
Meron tayong tinatawag na anonymity sa internet. Which is yung attribution is very mahirap talaga yan. The CICC is here now to address those, to help the law enforcement build the capability and capacity on technical investigation.
The center will launch a more intensive information campaign in schools and, along with the Commission on Higher Education, implement courses on cybersecurity in universities. Ruth Cabal, CNN Philippines.
Cement maker Eagle Cement gets a strong market demand ahead of its debut in the Philippine Stock Exchange on May 29th. The company is currently on its offer period, which will be until May 22nd. Its initial public offering is at 15 pesos per share. Last week, Eagle Cement offered 500 million primary shares. Company officials say the interest of investors is encouraging as they're banking on Eagle Cement's production efficiency, strong brand equity, and sound financials. We get our first look at the official cast of the General Luna sequel, Goyo ang Batang General. CNN Philippines Newsroom will be right back.
is now ready to expand our Made in the Philippines lineup.
Hello to all of you on Facebook Live. Coming up for you on the final segment of the newsroom, we still have several stories. Among them, sad news in the music world. Rock icon Chris Cornell has passed away. Very sad news. I was a big fan of his. Now, also we're getting a lot of reactions to the newly signed executive order on the smoking ban. Let me read some of them to you. Ea Doliente says a big step from the DOH and from the government. This smoking ban will be followed by the Filipinos. This will benefit us all. Mars De La Torre says, no smoking in public places. Why only now? Sa ikauunlad ng bayan, disiplina ang kailangan. Kaya natin yan. Also, we'd like to greet some of you who have been sending messages. Well, hi, Imelda. Hi, Imelda Santos. Jean Formaran is watching from Yokohama, Japan. Also, Jason Santos is watching from Brunei. Ang Anna from Jeddah. A lot of people joining us here. Thank you for sending us your message, letting us know what you think. We're still getting a lot of reactions here. I wish we had time to read all of them. Also, Rolly Concepcion is watching from San Diego, California. Thank you for sending your comments, saying hello, and telling us where you're watching from. We love hearing from you. So please continue to let us know where you're watching from, and please stay tuned until the end of the show. Thank you also to the well wishes on the Golden Dove Awards for CNN Philippines. Good night, everyone. Welcome back. We have this breaking news. Roger Ailes, who built Fox News into a powerhouse, has died. His death was announced by his family and reported on Fox News Channel. He was 77. Ailes started the news channel almost from scratch in 1996 and built it into not just a cable news ratings leader, but a profound influence on the right wing of American politics. Ailes ended his 20-year reign in Fox News last July following allegations of sexual harassment. Another loss, this time in the music scene. Chris Cornell, one of the most recognizable voices in rock music, has died. He was 52 years old. Cornell's representative tells CNN the singer's death was sudden and unexpected. Cornell's musical career spanned decades. He rose to fame during the grunge movement in the 1990s as lead vocalist of Soundgarden. He also formed rock supergroups Audioslave and Temple of the Dog. Among Cornell's greatest hits, Black Hole Sun, Spoon Man, and Like a Stone. The official cast of the much-anticipated sequel to the 2015 historical biopic General Luna is out. These are the stars of Goyo, Ang Batang General, which will start filming later this month. Actor Paulo Avellino reprises his role as the young General Gregorio del Pilar. Some of the film's actors include Jason Abalos, Carlo Aquino, Noni Buencamino, Mon Confiado, and Epi Quizon. Among the female stars are Empress Chuck, Stephanie Sol, and Gwen Zamora. General Luna director Gerald Tarog will helm the film that's hitting cinemas next year. And that's the newsroom for you this evening. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. Thank you for watching. Good night.